My husband is the most anal traveler you've ever seen. And this is a fun fact for the audience. We have been together for like a million years and never once have I booked a flight. And we're huge travelers. I've never booked a flight. I've never booked a hotel. And this is not because I don't like I refuse to. It's because he has the strategy so down that if I even try to get into his process, he doesn't like it.
But tell the truth, are you the anal type of traveler that gets there 3 hours in advance?
At periods of time I have been, especially now with a kid. Because here's the thing. I don't mind necessarily the flight. And I mind all the shit at the airport.
Yeah.
It is, and especially with her, like we lay the suitcase out, try to be methodical, and then next thing you know, there's like 6 more, and it's a whole thing, and like I have to carry all the shit. It's just stressful.
Tell the truth. Is she ever able to carry on?
No, no.
You've never, if you and I dated, I am your worst goddamn nightmare. I once went all the way to Venice, Italy, not knowing where I was going and didn't even know where I was going until I stepped off the plane.
Well, I'll tell the story. So we and then we can get into this, but just to give you some context of how like in the clouds she is with this stuff. We were dating and I thought, man, this is going to be like super romantic. I'm going to get so many points. I booked a trip to go to Venice and I didn't tell her where we were going. I just said, pack your bags. We're going to this place. And, took it to the nines, booked all the flights. And I kept like looking over for her to like look at the ticket and be like, we're going to Venice, or like, look at the screen or look at the thing when you board the plane, or even listen to the fucking announcements. She didn't know until we landed and they started speaking Italian. She's like, we're in Italy. I'm like, we've been flying for 30 hours.
Why is our Uber a boat?
I think it's just because I just trust him so much. And if you and I were dating, it would be even worse. Can you, like, I would just
Wait, so I want to know, when you were on that flight, 8-hour flight? Like, where did you think you were going?
No idea. I didn't think about it.
But you were so in love. You were just like,
I feel like I'm so easygoing about travel that I'm just like, whatever. I didn't even think about it.
I'm in the corner like this, staring, like waiting for the moment, and just it never happened. I'm just like sitting there for 14 hours, just like, staring over and being like, oh, she's gonna notice now.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get into everything about you. People are so excited that you're coming on the podcast. How did you get into this in the first place? How did you see the white space?
Well, I mean, I got into points in the 90s. I was always that nerdy kid. So I was born in 1983. So when I was 7, my parents got like a huge IBM computer. And I remember just like teaching myself DOS, which was like pre-Windows, right? You'd have to do like little syntax commands. And I was on the internet in like 1991 when you used to have to install a modem into your computer, plug it into a phone line, So in like 95, my dad got a job for a startup and he was traveling and working from home. And I was a computer whiz and he's like, shit, Brian, I have to book travel. I have no idea how to do it. And that was the year Travelocity came out. And it was so easy to do. He thought it was super hard. So I was charging him $10 of reservations for something that took me 30 seconds. So that was like my first job in 1995. Fast forward, like in that winter, he was like, okay, I have all these freaking flyer miles. If you can figure out how to book them, I'm one of 4 kids. He's like, the 6 of us, instead of taking a basic trip, we grew up outside of Philly, to the shore or whatever, Orlando. He's like, wherever you want to plan it, we can go. So I booked us to the Cayman Islands because I had just read The Firm by John Grisham and it was like set in the Cayman Islands. I was just like this precocious little kid at age 12, booking our family of 6 to an international destination. It was the most amazing trip. And then, so that was my dad and I's bonding. He would travel, miss my basketball games, but every year he gave me his points and I would book our family trip to Barbados, whatever. So never in a million years did I think that would become my job. But when I look back on it, like all the things that I love in life, like as a kid, I was a voracious writer. They would say, write a short story and come into school and I'd write like a 30-page book. I've always had this imagination and love to travel. So it kind of makes sense that I am writing about travel and inspiring others to do it now. It wasn't until I got a job at Morgan Stanley in 2007, graduate college, and then all of a sudden I became my dad, where I was traveling like crazy. And I was in HR, so I wasn't making a lot of money at Morgan Stanley, but I was running college recruiting, meaning so I would charge, the career fair at Harvard and $20,000 expense on my credit card. And I called up Amex and was like, can I get points for this? And they were like, yeah, if you pay $95. So all of a sudden, the wheels start spinning and everyone at Morgan Stanley hated expenses because you literally used to have to tape paper receipts and fax them in. It was this most tedious process. But what I figured out was every little slip of paper is free points. So I became the guy in HR that was like, "Hey, everyone, I'm going to take one for the team and pay for this $50,000 event on my Amex." And people were like, "Brian, thank you so much." And I'm like, "Suckers, like that's literally a free business class trip." So I started, that was like my side hustle at Morgan Stanley was, doing all the expenses. And then I was traveling a ton, and during the recession in 07, 08, the travel companies were giving insane bonuses because no one was business traveling. So long story short, I would get screwed every year. I was getting promoted, but they were like, "Your bonus is not getting laid off, Brian. Come back again, not next year. You're in your 20s." Like, and I was so frustrated because being in my 20s, living in Manhattan, was literally living paycheck to paycheck, even though I was working on Wall Street. I mean, I would take a subway to JFK and fly Singapore Airlines first class with like $40 in my bank account.
Just through points.
And I would eat everything on the plane, so I wouldn't really have to eat when I land. Like, so I was living this like millionaire's lifestyle on, it's points rich and cash broke is what I used to call it. So finally, my ex at the time was like, "You're so good at this point stuff. Why don't you start a side hustle where people pay you to book trips for them?" And to me, that was like, oh, I mean, it's fun for me. It's literally like some people sit down and do crossword puzzles. I sit down and figure out how can I fly the Emirates A380 first class and go to the Maldives. So I started charging people. So the Points Guy was never even a blog. It was just like this janky form that you would submit. "I'm Lauren and I have Amex points. I went to Paris with my 3 friends. How do I do it?" I would email you back and be like, "PayPal me $50 each." And then I would just write you detailed instructions like, "Call the airline. This is the flight number, blah, 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 blah." And so it's kind of like a points travel agent.
Kind of like a consultant almost.
Kind of, yeah, like a travel. I mean, I was basically a travel agent for points, which didn't exist at the time. And even now, there's only a couple agencies that'll touch points because they don't make money on it. So, and then a friend in June of 2010, a friend was like, "Brian, I'm an SEO expert." I had no idea what SEO was. And he's like, "If you start a blog, blogs are all the rage." He's like, "That'll be the most natural way. People searching for how do I use these damn Amex points will find you. It'll be free advertising, just throw up a blog post every day. You'll get authority in this space." And I was like, and he set me up with my own WordPress blog. And so I was like, okay. And he said, just blog every day, something good. It doesn't need to be life changing, but consistently all around points, travel, whatever. And he's like, "They will come. Trust me." He's like, he was really excited about it too. He's
Well,
like,
nobody else was really doing it, huh?
there were some other points blogs, but they were pretty popular, but I would remember because they weren't monetizing then. So they would only, blogging's hard. So the people would only update once or twice a week. And I remember being at my desk being like, "I want more of this content." And then one day I was like, "Why don't I fill in that void?" And of course, at first you have imposter syndrome where you're like, "Well, I'm not the biggest expert in the world. So why would I, you know, but I started blogging and like a couple months in, things started to go viral, which I didn't really understand at the time, but the credibility, people were sharing the site like crazy. And in the spring of 2011 is when my life changed because a friend from college was like, "Dude, you're an idiot. You're writing about the platinum card all day long and you're just linking directly to Amex." Like, he's like, "Affiliate marketing. If you use my company's link." And I was like, "No, I don't want to do this. It's my passion project." He's like, "We'll pay you $300 per approval." And I was like, "What?" Because at that time I had 40,000 monthly readers, but I'm like doing the small conversion rates in my head. I was like, it doesn't take a whole lot of signups to like fundamentally change the game. And literally the first month it was like $5,000. And I was like, that's almost like I was making maybe 75 salary. And I was like, if I can just do this a little bit smarter. And then it just took off. The New York Times ended up writing a big piece about this points guy. You got to, and
When like every credit card company, major travel credit card
all
wants
of
to
them
work with
came,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then it just blew up.
So let's take a step back for a second, because I think we're versed in points, but there's so many consumers, listeners, people that are listening to the show that have credit cards, obviously, may not even be aware of what kinds of credit cards they should be using, may not even know how to use points. I get this, even, I'm not an authority in this space. I figured out a few things over the years, but I get questions all the time, like, how do you use points? What are points? What credit cards? What's the best for this? What's the best? So maybe taking a stab at one, points, how they're used, what they can be used for, how they accumulate, and then two, like maybe listing a couple of cards that you think are just good for people starting out to book travel.
Absolutely. So fundamentally, every single dollar you spend, you should be earning points. And the United States is the global mecca for points. I won't go into the nitty-gritty details, but basically, every time you go to a restaurant or to Saks, that merchant's paying Amex or Visa like 3% of your entire purchase. Huge fees. Plus, so basically the credit card industry is wildly lucrative and it's built into the cost of everything we buy. So if you're going to go to the store and pay with a debit card or cash, I just want you to understand you are throwing money in the trash because you're paying with the cost of those rewards are built in to give back, but you're kind of paying for, the point system for everyone else. But don't fret. People think that this is just for frequent travelers. Like frequent flyer programs are now frequent buyer programs. Like more points are created from spending on credit cards than they are from flying. So just think about how much money you spend every month. And the goal is to get at least more than 1 point per dollar on everything you spend. So when it comes to getting a credit card, and before I even get into the details, like to win at the points game, you have to pay your bill off in full every month. Like if you are in credit card debt, don't worry. I was actually an idiot in college and got myself into credit card debt, kind of put my head in the sand and like ruined my credit score. So it's always kind of funny that like now I'm like the world's credit card expert and I was a moron. But I actually think that experience of going through it has helped me understand like where people are coming from.
Yeah, no, we've talked about on this show and had like finance experts on, and we constantly recommend people if they can, like if you're going to charge on your credit card, pay it in full every time. Like don't accumulate the debt and start paying the interest. It's a
because if you're
hole.
paying interest, even if you've got a lower interest rate card, you're negating the value of those points. In a nutshell, points are worth like roughly 1 cent per point. So if you've got 100,000 points, in general, a conservative value of those points should be about $1,000. Now, the game is, we all agree that if you're going to get a credit card, you're not going to spend outside of your means just because you can. You're going to pay your bills off in full. And the wild thing is your credit score actually goes up the more credit cards and available credit you have and the less you use. So if you go to the FICO website, and I know people are worried, Brian, I'm not getting into credit cards. They ruin your credit card if I take out a card. There is like a 2 to 5 point ding when you get a new credit card, but your score goes up dramatically. The two biggest factors are paying your bills on time and paying them off. So if you actually have a lot of credit available to you and you pay it off and it's zero, your score, and it's really crazy how quickly your score will go up. So in the points world, it's amazing. People are like, well, I get these credit cards that come with humongous bonuses that are worth thousands of dollars. And so their banks are giving points away. And then every dollar you spend, you're earning points. And my score went up too. And a higher credit score means cheaper mortgage. I mean, having good credit in general, like you need to look at as an asset. So you can play this points game and improve your credit score and travel incredibly and have these life experiences that your budget might not have been able to afford, just like I did, when I was living paycheck to paycheck, but still, going to the Seychelles on a long weekend. So that being said, okay, great. I've sold you on credit cards and, good financial health. There's 3 main types of credit cards. So the type that you want to diversify your points, because what happens is, and I know people will be like, I love Delta. I just want to fly Delta. I only want Delta points. And Delta's a great airline. But what happens when your friends are like, hey, let's all go to Dubai, and you can't use your Delta miles to fly any good airline nonstop to Dubai? Like the goal of points is to diversify. So that's why this category of cards that I recommend is called transferable points credit cards. So Amex membership rewards, Chase Ultimate Rewards, Citi thank you points, and then those are in Capital One. So you get these cards, and instead of just accruing it to like one single airline, with Amex, for example, if you use an Amex Gold, which is probably one of the best Amex cards, it's 4 points per dollar on groceries and dining. And I think most of your listeners probably overspend in those categories. If you're going out to eat or even,
and you can select I remember at one point, like I had an agency and we selected the option to do like for marketing dollars. And with that, we were
online advertising. So you bring up a great point. If you've got a small business, even a tiny one. So at the point when I sold the Points Guy years ago, I actually negotiated to have all of the business expense still run through my credit cards because that's the number one way that I get points. Now we're spending like $1 million a month on Facebook, which is online advertising, which, the Amex Business Gold, Chase Inc. all give 3 and 4x points on that spend.
You're just like accumulating 5 million points a month.
I mean, so just on that one type of spend.
Are you taking us to Dubai?
Let's go. I mean, have you guys ever flown Emirates first class?
I have flown it once, and it was I couldn't even. It was like orgasmic. I couldn't get off the plane.
No, I know, and they're long flights, and I'm like,
and we did use Amex. That's how we did it.
Let's go a couple more times. But did you do the A380 where you took the shower?
I didn't take a shower, but I was too busy watching Beauty and the
Okay.
Beast with a glass of Brunello, eating my caviar. And I mean, I was in heaven.
I took my mom and dad, and my mom was like, I don't want to take a shower. I was like, Mom, you're taking a shower because
Get
where
in the
else can
fucking
you
shower.
do that at 40,000 feet going 554 miles an hour? And
Well, I
she's
think
like,
this is a good topic to touch on because sometimes, people will see us travel business and over the years I've been thoughtful and figured
Mhm.
some of these things out. And most of the time it's through points. Sometimes there's a small fee to, you
Yep.
might have to pay the taxes or whatever.
Yep, but it's a fraction. I mean, for
And talk
example-
about companion passes too. Like
Yep.
sometimes you get a companion pass, so it's like one, you
Yep.
pay a little fee, then the points, and then you get a free. Like Lauren's been able to travel with me
Yep.
free sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it adds up quickly. So basically, like get a transferable points credit card. Amex Gold is primo in that they have really rich categories. Chase Sapphire. I would say if anyone who's just looking like the gateway drug for so many people in points, I would say is like the Chase Sapphire card. The preferred has like a $95 annual fee. It's double points on travel and dining. Now back to like what I said, every dollar you spend, you want to be getting more than 1 point. And for example, if you've got a Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is a really good card, you earn 3 points on travel and dining. But I encourage everyone to look at the cards that you have and like see what that category means. In the case of Chase Sapphire, travel includes parking garages, tolls, in addition to all the obvious, so there's every credit card has different perk categories that like what I want people to do is look at the major categories you spend money and then try to use a card that will give you a bonus in that category. Now, some categories like doctor's offices, there's no credit card that gives medical. So that for something like that, there are cards that like Chase Freedom gives 1.5 points per dollar on everything, and Capital One Ventures 2x on all spend. So the goal is like when you're going out and buying groceries, you're using Amex Gold for 4x, and then if you're going to go to a doctor's office, well, you're going to get double points on Venture, so you use that. One other card.
What about cashback?
So the transferable points is key category number one. That's what I think I put the bulk of my points. The second, cashback credit cards are decent. Here's the thing. The transferable points cards are really valuable when you transfer them to airlines and sometimes hotels. If you want Amazon credit, if you want to use your points to shop at Saks, for example, that's a terrible way to use your Amex points because you're going to be getting less than a cent per point in value. If you want to do that, get a cashback credit card, right? Cashback, like Citi Double Cash, no annual fee, 2% back as long as you pay your bill on time. So that you spend $100,000, you get $2,000 cold hard cash. You can use it however you want. Like if you want simplicity, you don't have to want to fly Emirates first class, but you should be using, instead of a debit card, which you're getting 0, use a card, a cashback card. And then the third type is like airline credit cards, where once again, a lot of people will be like, well, I just love, Delta Airlines, so I'm just gonna use every credit card Delta. Those cards are good, but generally not for earning points. They're great for perks, free checked bags, but you can
Companion
use that card.
passes.
But remember, you don't have to put all of your spend on one card. I highly recommend, I have 25 credit cards.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a little extreme. I don't recommend people to do that, but get a couple cards that are like solid, just, where you spend the most money, office supplies, groceries, and then you'll see, not only will you get a huge sign up bonus for a card, and that's one other thing. Never, if you've got never upgrade your card with the credit card company. You always want to apply for a brand new card because you're going to get the sign up bonus. And those sign up bonuses can be 100,000 points or more. If you call up your credit card company and say, I want to change this card to that one, they'll be like, sure, but then they won't give you the massive bonus.
You just want to sign up every time.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. So say you have a bunch of points. Say some, you log into and tell me if I'm wrong. You log into your credit card account. You see it. There should be up in the right corner. It should say your points or however miles or whatever it is. What is the best way to start figuring out how to utilize? Because I think a lot of people are sitting there like, okay, I've had this card for forever. I've had an Amex and I'm sitting on all these points. What the hell do I do with them?
Yeah. Well, and I'll also just plug, 6 months ago, we came out with the Points Guy app, and it's the only app that'll give you your net worth in points. So you can attach all your credit cards, your airlines. We use our valuations for what points. We have every month our editorial team comes out with a new ranking of how much each airline currency is worth based on general redemptions. So first things first is just seeing how many points you have. And people are usually blown away like, oh, wow, I have a lot more than I realize. And that's what we want to use technology to empower people. The Points Guy's been around for 12 years. We've got 50,000 blog posts. Like it is a lot to take this in and to really become an expert. Now, what I would tell people is there are so many resources on the internet. The Points Guy, obviously, but there's plenty of other websites. So if you just I encourage people to, if you've got a ton of Capital One venture miles, Google how to maximize Capital One venture miles. There'll be, my writers who are the experts in their field that will bring you through each and every, or even just say, how do I get to, say you want to go to the Maldives? How do I get to the Maldives on points? And there's tons of content that will help start you thinking through, like, okay, what are actually the best ways to do that? You know, for example, like, flights are just one side, but hotels are another. So it's like, what's the best way to use Amex points for hotels?
And do you think hotels are do you get as much value out of hotels as flights, or is flights?
Flights are general, especially if you're redeeming for business, international, and first. Hotels can be redeeming, like transferring Chase points to Hyatt. For example, you can get Park Hyatts for only 25,000 points. And those Park Hyatts are over $1,000 a night. When you do the math, that comes out to 4 cents per point in value. If you're using 25,000 points and you're getting something 1,000 in value. So that's a great redemption. I'm going to the Ritz-Carlton Maldives next month, and that's, it was like $4,000 a night, but I was only spending like 100,000 points a night. And then you get the 5th night free with Marriott. So like there's all these nuances. And all I'll say is points, it's a currency. It's like just like the, crypto, the US dollar, it has this inherent value. The coolest thing about points is the more you mine your knowledge in a certain currency, the value goes up. You'll have those aha moments, and it seems really confusing at first, but once you start to speak the language and crack the code, and I tell you, it is worth it, because when you transfer points to book that flight to Italy that you didn't think you were going to be able to afford this, summer, and the taxes and fees are $41 for a $4,000 flight, it is a rush. And once people do that, that's when they become like, okay, it's a little difficult, but I think in the complexity of all these points programs, it's like solving the crossword puzzle, but instead of just having, pride that you did it, or Wordle, you get to take a trip. That's why I think this is like the most fun game in the world.
What is the coolest, sickest thing that you've gotten from your points out of everything you've done? You can name a couple things, because I feel like you have a couple.
Well, so I will start with the first thing is you can use points for charity. And so I'm gay, and so lucky that in the United States, I can be CEO and my family loves me and even have kids if I want to. But a lot of LGBT people around the world have it really bad. So I support an organization called Rainbow Railroad. And it's a global network, and we help people where being gay is illegal. You can be imprisoned, you can be killed. And unfortunately, it happens a lot more than you think. So Rainbow Railroad, you can donate your points, your Amex points or Air Canada Aeroplan, and we actually save people's lives with those points. So we'll get people out of Chechnya, where there's currently gay concentration camps.
Wow.
Jamaica, beautiful country, amazing people, but like trans people in Jamaica literally live under bridges. They're called gullies. I went with 60 Minutes to Jamaica, and like literally was able to witness people. And if you're trans in so many communities, you can't live, you can't get a job. So the best use of points in my life is helping save people's lives, getting them to asylum in countries where they can live their authentic selves. Plenty of other charities too. Make-A-Wish, we do a lot with, their number one request from their Wish kids is travel. So if you ever even have points just laying around that you're not going to use, I highly encourage you to donate them. So many amazing organizations.
And do you just go to those organizations, say, I have points and I want to figure out how to?
Each airline and credit card company is different in the charities they align with. But what you can also do, even if you can't donate, what you can do is for your kids' school, for example. I know a lot of schools hit parents up for fundraisers. You can actually use your points and say, hey, look, I'll book a $500 flight. Amex points are, I'll book a $500 flight for someone in like a raffle. And then you can just use your points and book travel for other people. So there's a lot of different ways you can get creative about it. But the bottom line with points, if there's one thing you take away from this podcast, is you've got to use them, because they lose value over time. Because the airlines in general and hotels, they just, what we call a devaluation, they keep raising the price. 10 years ago, you could go to Europe for 100,000 miles in business class. That was like the going rate,
It's like, what? It's like 300-400
400.
Yeah.
So it's not doomsday, because on the earnings side, there's no better way than today. Bonuses, those categories. So if you're smart about it, you can be earning tons of points so that you can offset that inflation in the price by earning more,
Let me ask you this. So say you're just starting out on your journey with credit and you don't have a lot of credit. what is a type of card that you would recommend people to start with? Like, say they can't get approved for an Amex Gold, even though like that's one of the
Yeah.
starter.
There's Discover is a great card. None of them have fees. They're more entry level point. You may not get a Chase Sapphire card, but you can start with the Freedom, which has a little bit lower credit profile. No, if a lot of immigrants, you come, even if you're a billionaire immigrant, you live in London, you come to the US,
There's no credit profile.
you literally have the credit profile of a 15-year-old and you can't even get a cell phone. I'm actually working with a company called Nova Credit, and it's the first ever international credit score where they're now integrated with Amex and Verizon. But if you have credit history abroad, for the first time, you can actually get the credit that you deserve because they transfer those international scores over.
What are the CEOs of all these companies got you on speed dial or what?
Well, it's kind of fun, now.
I imagine at this point there's some leverage going on.
Investing and I'm still full on with the Points guy. I sold it a decade ago. It's so fun. We're growing the company, but now I think advising and investing is a real passion of mine. Just this week, someone came to me, Encore Jane, the CEO of Built, which is the first ever credit card you earn points on rent. We just launched it nationally with Wells Fargo this week. But we came up with this idea, like most young people, your biggest expense is rent. And that's the one area in points. Like you could never, you could pay your rent, but they charge you 3%. And once again, if you're paying 3% to earn points, like you're negating the value of those points. So we have created this new credit card Built, which is no annual fee. You earn points on rent. And because your biggest expense is now on your credit profile, your score goes up over time as long as you're paying it off and paying it off in full. So Built as an intro card for a lot of people, renters. It's a way to start earning points, even if you don't have your own business or are spending millions, on advertising. But Discover card, you can even get a secured credit card, put $500 down and then pay it off every single month. The thing about credit is so many of us want to put our heads in the sand. It's too difficult, or your score can go up really quickly if you just have a strategy.
I think people get bad advice. There's a lot of financial experts say like, I think the message gets construed as like, don't use credit. And I think what those experts are saying is don't carry balances on credit with interest.
They assume the worst in people. And
Yes.
Dave Ramsey, look, I mean, a lot of people in America are in credit card debt and it sucks. It's quicksand. There are so many predatory. When I was broke living in New York before I started the Points guy, like I refused to ask my parents for money. So I got a payday loan and it was like evil sorcery. Like I would pay it off, but they would have all these stipulations. And it's funny enough that the guy who owned that company is now in jail. There was a Netflix documentary about this payday loan companies. So I get it. Like for people, when you have no
People
money,
are scared of it. They're scared. They're like, it's going to
and
hurt me.
you should rightfully be scared and have, but if you have the discipline, if you have cash in your checking account and you can pay your bill off in full every month and your score will go up and your points balances will increase. And that's what I like to teach people. It 100% is a game you can win.
I got a weird tip. You can get a card, especially in a business card, but also personal cards, and you can get supplementary cards for free on those and set limits on them. And most of the time it's done when like a parent has a
Absolutely.
kid. I think that's a smart way if you're going to carry a credit card and you're scared to go over your balance, like set $1,000 cap. And if you hit that, it's like you can't spend on it anymore.
Absolutely.
What cards suck?
So there's a lot of like, I would say there's like a Visa Black card that is not the real Black card is Amex Centurion. Funny enough, like, so I'm a Amex Centurion card holder and it's $5,000 a year. And honestly, it's one of the worst Amex cards in terms of points. You only earn really 1 point per dollar spent, which is so wild to think the $250 gold card, you earn 4X and 3, So I would say that there is a lot of super expensive credit cards that it's more about the hype and having the card than it is actually the points. The one other thing we haven't talked about, points are amazing, but perks are another thing that can be incredible. So as we talked about, the airport can be a scary place these days. So if you really value being able to go to a lounge and not just get free booze in the lounge, what people don't realize is whenever a flight gets canceled, you can't get through on the phone and there's a 2-hour-long line to talk to a rep. Go to the airline lounge because the people at that front desk can rebook you and get you home on that last seat. I always see those people waiting in line. I'm like, oh, you're doing it wrong. By the time you get to that agent, you're going to have no options left.
Did you know that tip?
Yeah.
That's a great tip.
Well, and also too, you like with some of with the Centurion and the Platinum. Now we're getting to the upper echelons, but like you can get to somebody much easier on the phone.
Yep, and that's why I started booking with travel agents, travel advisors. I have Amex like Travel, which is pretty good. Whenever it's a 10-hour wait on the phone, I can message my Amex rep and be like, "Hey, cancel these flights or change these." I'll end on the worst credit cards. A lot of no fee cards. I know people have this natural aversion. Well, I don't want to pay annual fees. The cards with annual fees actually offer the most benefits. And what I would implore people to look for is more than just the points, but look at perks. A lot of credit cards have what's called travel interruption or delay coverage. So if you're delayed 10 hours or overnight, airlines are not going to give you a hotel stay or get you a rental car to get to your destination, but credit card companies will. So while, yes, it's nice to look at how many points you're earning, but a lot of credit cards will have, if you're in Africa on safari and, you're with your parent that has a heart attack, like if you book on an Amex Platinum, they have evacuation coverage that can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not just the points that you should be looking at, but also look at the perks. And I'll just say for people who use like debit cards out of fundamental principle, they don't have the purchase protections. When an airline goes bankrupt, literally it just dissolves overnight. And that's happened a lot. And if you're stranded, it happened in Iceland with this budget carrier, WoW Air, you're screwed, but if you put it on an Amex or Chase, there's so much that they can do above and beyond. And these days, travel continues to melt down. It will for a while. There's pilot shortages, all sorts of things that are going to make travel complicated. So having the right credit cards where you pay a little bit, you can get a ton back in terms of like the perks and benefits.
Okay. I feel like you're the perfect person to ask this. I want to take this step by step. Say Susie in Oklahoma has atrocious credit. Like it's the worst credit you've ever seen. What would you advise her to do step by step, like really tangible takeaways for our audience?
Yep. The number one thing is you've got to pay down your balances. So your first goal, so we're not even going to think about applying for new credit cards or anything like that. You want to get your balances down. And if you have a card that's like you're getting 30% in APR, there are balance transfers that can make sense. So instead of trying to think about a points card, like look at cards that will offer, 0% financing and take advantage of them, right? You've got to neutralize yourself in the quicksand and just be maniacal, cut your costs, pay off your debt. As soon as you pay off your debt and you're paying it in, every month, your score will start to go up. But, if your balances remain and the monthly fees will offset the minimum payment. So you're going to be sitting in quicksand forever. Your score is not going to go up. So the goal is to just get your balances down over time. And you will see as you're spending. And once you have the big credit, limit, you're whittling it down. That's when your score goes up. There's really not that much more to it. There's a lot of scam companies out there that will, try to sell you on credit cleanup. Take that money and pay off the principal balance. And you can do a lot of that stuff yourself. If there are inaccuracies, you can dispute them for free. I would just say to anyone in debt, just educate yourself on the resources available. Talk to the lender, see if they have forgiveness. Don't just put your head in the sand and walk away from it because, I know a lot of people are like, well, I have one late payment and in 7 years it'll be gone, so I might as well have more. But that's not the way to think about it.
This is nuanced and maybe high level, but I think it's worth mentioning. I remember one time we were going to France and I wanted to use miles and it was through Amex. Was it through Amex or it might have been Chase? Anyway, it's a transferable point program. And the airline we were trying to use the miles through wouldn't allow it. So what I had to do was actually transfer the miles to like Air Canada and then Air Canada. So I don't remember how I figured that out, but I think it's worth mentioning because there's also ways as you're transferring, like you might think, oh, I'm going to France, I need to fly Air France, but you can't. But if you transfer to
partners,
partner programs.
So the holy grail for us. So today, my favorite site to look up cheap flights is Google Flights. It's free. You can search by calendar, like what day is going to be the cheapest. That doesn't exist for using your points, as you just mentioned. So if you've got Amex points, there's 25 different airlines you can transfer to. In the case of Airplan, it's actually one of the best transfer partners that people don't know about. Air Canada is a Star Alliance airline, meaning you can book Lufthansa, Singapore, and so many others. What we want to create at the Points Guy is the Google Flights for award travel. But, you can go to online travel agencies and search paid flights because there's like one pipe that the airlines have built to kind of display airfares. They don't have that for frequent flyer miles. So each and every airline has its own platform. We want to build the platform that will merge all of them. So if you have Amex points and some American and some Hyatt, and you want to take a trip to the Caribbean and this week, we want to be able to reverse engineer that. But the airlines have been challenging to work with because, when they created online travel agencies, it took business away from them. So
So how did I figure that out, I wonder? Because I remember when I did, it was significant. It was a lot of savings when I figured, and I don't remember if someone consulted
Yeah.
me or if it was something I navigated through the site, but if somebody's doing this and going through the exercise and be like, oh, like I want to figure out other ways to figure
Yeah.
out how to use
Well,
my
actually,
points.
in the Points Guy app, which is in the Apple App Store, just as the Points Guy, it's free. We actually have a trip planner tool. So it'll say if you want to go Austin to London, okay, BA flies that nonstop, but you can actually use all these,
Okay.
Is that Lil Nas X?
Okay.
I
Uh,
thought that was Bossa Nova. I was
yeah.
like, that's a vibe.
Like, is Becca bored? It's like, I've heard this talk so many times. Like, so basically the logic gets crazy. If Amex has 30 different transfer partners and each of those airlines is a part of an alliance or has other airline partners, like the statistical ways that you could use those points are like, so in our trip planner in the TPG app, we'll actually list all the different transfer partners that you have with that airline and how many miles roughly they would take for you to fly a certain route. It's not perfect because it doesn't pull in the real availability. In order to do that, the airlines would need to share their, the APIs to their award availability. But I do believe we will get there one day.
But the point is you can kind of surf around and not just take the first result and see if
Exactly.
there's transfer points and look around and vet your
A
options.
great example of that is like if you got Amex points, Delta's a transfer partner, but don't transfer to Delta. Transferring to Virgin Atlantic, usually if you can find that same Delta flight, it's at a fraction of the cost and fees. So once again, this is like with the transferable points, it's a tricky game, but once you start learning it, that's when you get insane value.
Let's say Brian is booking a flight to St. Bart's.
I'm going next week for the
Okay.
first time,
Say,
actually.
oh, look at this. I'm psychic. Let's say that you're booking the trip. Walk us through every single little hack that you're taking to book this trip in the most bougie, extravagant way on a budget.
That's a great example because, okay, one lesson is it's all about the plane, people. Different types of planes, you can have a wildly different experience. And I am a snob when it comes to flying. Like, I need a lie flat bed.
When you're tall. I mean,
I'm 6'7", sitting in a recliner seat.
And he's single, you guys.
I know.
If anyone's out there, 6'7" and single
And with points.
with points.
shitload of points.
So in my case, New York City, United Airlines actually flies a 767 to San Juan with lie flat beds. And then from there, I can take the puddle jumper. And it's cheaper to fly through San Juan. Most people,
Instead of St.
if
Martin
you
or
talk, yeah, everyone says, oh, we'll fly to St. Martin. It's actually, St. Martin's much more expensive to fly to, and they've got crappier planes. So when it comes to flying, like I always look at, and a site called seatguru.com can help you look at the seat maps and see what kind of plane it is. But unfortunately, New York to Austin, there are no lie flats, but I feel like that's going to change one day.
Michael just popped a boner when you just said Seat
Look,
Guru.
I've been on Seat Guru for years. You don't know this?
I have no idea.
I type in the number, the flight number. I go in there and figure out what
He
the plane.
loves
I look at
shit
the
like this.
I look
Keep
at the
going,
pictures.
Keep going. Give him all the Seat Guru
And,
tips.
I'll answer one of the top questions people ask is like, I'm a nervous flyer. So here's the thing. The bigger the plane, the smoother the ride. So I always recommend take and you can look at the type of plane that's flying on a certain route. Also, I recommend flying newer planes like 787s, A350s are like quiet inside. And if you want to get sleep on a plane, some older planes are and if you sit next to the engine on a 777, like my head literally like shakes in its seat. So always try to sit as far front in the plane as possible, especially internationally, because you want to get off the plane first. Like if you're in the back, that could be an extra hour in customs.
Let's switch gears. Sorry, that was abrupt. But it's at the airport, Clear, TSA Pre, all the programs. My biggest thing, like I told you now, is like, how do I jet through in the most seamless way possible with my wife, kid, the chihuahuas, everything that's going on? How do you do it?
So I do it. So everyone should get Global Entry. Global Entry is $100 for 5 years. So $20 a year. And you get, with that comes TSA PreCheck.
And doesn't Amex include it in the
Exactly.
in the
And a
card?
bunch of different credit cards have free Global Entry. So just Google what credit cards offer free Global Entry. Sign up for it now. It'll come with TSA PreCheck. And Global Entry allows you, when you come back to the US, to avoid the lines. You don't even need to put your fingers down now. It scans your irises and you're through in 2 minutes. Same thing. TSA PreCheck is great. Some airports, the PreCheck line, like in Atlanta, it's so long that getting Clear, which also credit cards, and if you have top airline status with United or Delta, they'll give it to you for free. But Clear allows you to get to the front of the TSA pre-check line.
And that's super cheap. What is it, like $30 a year now?
No, Clear is actually a little bit expensive. It depends.
Change.
Yeah, it's like $150 or so a year.
I remember when they first started, it was cheap.
It was really cheap because they wanted people on. Clear is also cool because it works at stadiums too. So Yankee Stadium, there's a long security line. There's Clear lanes that can get you to the front. They're starting to do it more at like festivals, and they had some COVID vaccine passports through Clear. So it's a pretty innovative company. But yeah, pre-check and Clear is the way to go for sure. And then when boarding a plane, you know, getting an airline co-branded card will get you, you know, instead of Group 9, when you're going to have to check your bag, wait, you know, go to the belt, getting on the plane matters. So getting at least an airline co-branded credit card that will get you that Zone 3 boarding.
Lauren gets mad at me when I want to get on the plane. But here's my logic. Tell me if you disagree. I don't want to stand in the tube with everybody holding all the bags. So I either want to get on first or at the very, very end if I have to.
I mean, for me, I'm like, as little time as possible on this tiny metal tube is good, but I'm you know.
Because you all stand there like
You
assholes
guys
holding.
are so different than me. I am so lax. I put my headphones on. I don't know what. I didn't even know there's different kinds of planes.
But Lauren,
I have no idea. I'm in La La Land.
Lauren, but I'm holding all the shit.
I am in the goddamn clouds. Like I have.
Which
when
is
you're
probably the way to win these days.
I just don't let like all of these outside things affect me. But I'm like listening.
Lauren, are you a window seat or aisle seat girl?
I don't care. I
Let me
don't
tell you
think about
something.
it.
The reason you don't think about it, it doesn't affect you, is because your husband is standing in the corner with 18
he
bags,
he handles
sweating,
it.
Fighting
dripping.
with other people for that last spot.
Maybe I'm a princess like that because I just let you handle it.
Do you know what she does? We get off the plane. This is a true story. We have a dog and a carrier. We have a child. We have 3 carry-on bags. We have a stroller. The flight lands. She gets up, grabs her glass of water, walks off, and I'm standing there, and people look at me on the plane like, you poor son
Lauren,
of a bitch.
surely this isn't true, is
No,
it?
this is 100% true.
I just think the plane is
She didn't
just
answer the question.
put your headphones on and have a glass of champagne and enjoy the ride.
She puts the headphones on because
I
she can't hear my screaming cries for help.
I also can't control the plane or the pilot, so I just detach from it. People always ask this question about flight anxiety. I don't have any. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. I mean, but I agree with you in that you got to control your own environment. So I always have my, you know, lately I like the Apple AirPods Max. You know, I can block out if there's a screaming baby, like just crank up your music and get into your own zone, you know, take a gummy of whatever choosing that you like to enjoy yourself. And just like, don't be so, I think people walk into the airport like ramped up, stressed out to begin with. And that's why you see so many psychotic people like just acting like crazy. So I do believe like a good attitude, like, and it's not, you know, we should be like thankful we're able to travel these days, especially after coming out of a pandemic where we've been cooped up. So, and I just would say to anyone, please stop yelling at airline employees, like, because not just because it's a rude thing to do, but like these employees have all the power. They are paid nothing and they can control whether you get home or not. So screaming at them is literally the dumbest thing you could ever do.
Well, I think that's in any area.
It's so unbecoming when you're in line at the airport and you see someone losing their cool on an employee. It makes you look like a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Just stop. The employee's doing their best,
It's
and
so
I'm a
stupid.
big believer in kill them with kindness.
It's the best way. That's how you get ahead, especially in airlines. Like, and also these days, like plan extra. I'm sorry when people are like, I'm going to miss my 41-minute connection to go on my $20,000 cruise. I'm like, why would you, like these days flights are going to get canceled. Like, you know, the airlines are not staffed appropriately. Do not plan anywhere a 30-minute connection. You know, like I love when we land on time and someone's racing from the back. I'm going to miss my connection. I'm like, why did you book such a stupid connection? You
And
know,
also
like,
the points guys on the plane, so maybe not the right plane to say that on.
Well, you know, I think you mentioned earlier, like, am I the guy that shows up 3 hours? I think when I travel now, I want it to be leisurely, right? Like I don't want to sweat or rush through.
Yeah.
And even if that means I have to go a little early and go to a lounge for a little longer or walk through a connection, because I was that guy in the past where it was like, it was tight and it was go. And, and like, now I'm just like, it's too much now with a kid and especially with pregnant wife. It's impossible. So I'm like, you know, make fun of me that I get there a little earlier, but I'm relaxed. I'm not like running like Home Alone.
I wouldn't say you're relaxed.
I'm
That's a bit
pretty
of a
relaxed
lie.
these days.
I actually created a character on Snapchat probably about 7 years ago called Susan. And Susan is Michael at the airport. Susan is
Is Susan a relative of Karen?
Susan is like worse
I think
than
it was
Karen.
the original.
Susan is slamming suitcases, zipping things aggressively, pounding things on, eating quickly.
I was the dad meme. I was the 5 a.m. dad meme.
It's just like, calm down. I read this quote the other day about how anxiety does nothing for you, and it really doesn't do anything. It's a waste of goddamn energy.
You know, though, there is nothing worse than, like, I remember one time we were leaving JFK is a bitch of an airport to get out of.
JFK, that's another tip.
Just completely.
Yeah.
We had to go, there was a big snowstorm in New York and we were trying to leave and the traffic just got crazy. And then the flight got canceled literally right when we got there, and getting a hotel, everyone got canceled. So the hotels are limited out there and they're all like fucked up.
Yeah.
And so we had to stay, and that was a mess. Like, that's my worst nightmare. So
You
I'm
have
like, now
like post-traumatic stress over things I don't even remember.
put on
I don't
fucking-
remember any of
you
them.
put on Gone Girl and served me a
Damn right
breakfast
I did.
croissant. That's what I had. That was my experience. I was stuck in a
Gone
rundown.
Girl, a dark room.
Wait, I have to ask you guys questions.
Yeah.
So I want to have kids one day. How has traveling changed with one kid, and like, how are you preparing for the second?
It's completely fucking
You want
different.
the truth?
This is completely different. I'm just telling you right now. Hold on. You gotta come prepared. And listen, as you can tell, I'm not a prepared person. Can you tell? I come with like dried mango, puffs, apple crunchables, like tons of snacks.
Let's clarify here, though. I laugh at the parents that say it's hard traveling with a child that's a year old. It's not.
Mhm.
I mean, it is. It's challenging. And I say that because I'm a parent who's done it.
Yeah.
Try traveling 18 months
Once
to
they're
2.5
mobile,
years when you can't reason with them, when they don't want to sit down, when they don't want to listen.
But he's not there yet.
No.
He's at one.
But,
So
but the reason I mention is because that I used to think when we were traveling at that age, I'm like, oh, this is challenging. This is hard.
Yeah.
I was one of those. I look back on that, I'm like, I could do that so easily
Yeah.
now, right? There's certain things that I would get to do it. Because now
let's
that I've
get him
experienced.
through the first year. We're not there yet.
Has Zaza ever had a full meltdown on
Oh,
a plane?
fuck
Are you
yeah.
kidding me?
What do you do when they're just like,
I hand her to Michael to get a glass of champagne.
I have so much empathy now for parents when their kids are having a meltdown, because here's this, I look at it in 3 stages. The first stage is you don't have kids and the kid starts crying, you're annoyed. You're like, oh, Jesus, the crying kid on the flight. The second stage is you're a parent who has a kid and you just look at that parent like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And then I think the third stage, which we haven't got to, but I see, is older people that have had kids but don't anymore. And they're like, get it, still annoyed, but
Yeah.
like,
I
you
think
know.
that you got to bring snacks.
Yeah.
You got to bring a water cup that sips through a straw. It has to be a straw. Don't try to bring any other cup other than a straw. I also think you need a blanket in case they get cold, because sometimes it gets air conditioning. You got to do like the
Same for
barefoot.
me.
Yeah, you need like a Barefoot Dreams
Yeah.
mini blanket. You also have to have activities, and the activity that I'm obsessed with right now, and everyone needs if you're a parent. My friend Hillary told me about it. It's a coloring book, but it's with water.
Hmm.
The pen is water. So when they color on the
there's water
little
in the pen.
coloring
That's
book,
cool.
it shows up in color, but it's water. So mommy doesn't get any markers on her white couch. So if you bring colors on the plane, they're going to get it everywhere. You also, and this is the biggest one, you got to have a show downloaded.
Yeah.
And don't come at me on Instagram and say, I don't let my kids watch TV. You got to have a fucking show downloaded
Yeah.
for your own sanity,
I have
just
a lot of
in
friends who
case.
say like you limit the screen time like a lot on land, but like anytime on a plane, you just like let them go
It's
at
like,
it.
take the heroin.
never ever let them learn how to use the screens behind the seats.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this is like, there's maybe parents nodding their head, because it's what happens is when they're in this in-between age, when they don't understand it, it doesn't act as an iPad and there's announcements or things that chirp in and they're like
It
they're literally
stops their
smashing it.
show.
So now I pretend that doesn't exist. I just
Yeah.
bring the thing. I mean, there's things that
Especially,
you're
I've
gonna
had like kids banging my seat, like playing.
call
Yeah.
me in a
And
year and a
nanny
half
helps
and be
too.
like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Yeah, but I feel like you'll make it seamless.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a different experience and you need a lot of champagne.
So are you gonna
Zaza's
take
been on probably 60 flights. She's been a lot.
Are you gonna take a baby moon? Like at what, like while pregnant, like at what stage do you travel to?
I don't have that much interest in taking a baby moon. I would rather take a moon after I give birth because listen, I can't have a margarita in Cabo. I'm rolling around like an old sow. Like it's to have sex right now, it feels like someone's just like porking me from behind. It's like it's just not like these baby moons are just like no, I don't get it. Like
Yeah.
I want to have an after moon, like
Yeah.
where I feel like the baby's out, like we're good. I can have a margarita, like it's hotter
And
sex.
how like after your first child, like how long did you travel without the child? Like, do you have guilt? Like at a certain?
Yes.
Because I'm just trying to think of my life once I have a kid. It's like, do you feel guilty traveling
Yes.
without the child? I certainly would want to like stay home.
I don't know if it's so much guilt as it is like you do, like in our case, we do miss her, but at the same time, I think it's healthy to not.
Michael,
Yeah.
we've taken one night trip away from the
No,
baby,
no,
and
that's not
she's
true.
2 years
No,
old.
we've taken
Yes, it
two.
is.
We've taken two.
Which one?
Went to Vegas and then we went to,
Uh-huh.
there's another place we went.
Oh no, no,
Yeah, it is.
I
Or
don't
maybe-
believe you.
No, there is, but maybe, not together. That's
Yeah,
right.
not
Well,
together.
there has been though.
No, there's been one trip. We feel guilty,
Yeah.
but the woman feels it. I've noticed way more than the man. Like the woman, because you're supposed to be a stay-at-home mom, but also I work full time, the same amount as him. It's so interesting. I was telling someone the other day. Everyone asked me if I have a nanny, but no one asked him, and we work the exact same amount of time. It's so weird. That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, you do feel guilt, but I think that for you, like you're just gonna have to manage it because it's part of your gig.
Yeah. Where after Moon? What are your top destinations? Like, where are you dying to go once you're traveling again?
I just want to sit in Cabo.
I've never been to Cabo.
What?
Yeah, I've been to the Maldives 6 times, but never Cabo.
You
Like,
know,
I've never been to the Maldives, so do I need to go to the Maldives?
Maldives are awesome. It's just like they're far, but it's like just being on a tiny speck of sand in the most crystal blue waters. Just like
Hint, hint.
I
My
think-
and you fly
afternoon.
Emirates through or Qatar. Like the Middle Eastern airlines are sick. You make the trip. It's a long way there,
Here-
but you make the trip part of the.
Here's what I think, what I predict. So Zaza has been now, she's been to the UK, she's been to France, Switzerland. Where else has she been?
I don't know, but this
she's
is
been
nothing
far.
to brag
And-
about because
no,
it's
no,
been
no.
a nightmare travel
No,
the
no,
whole
but
time.
reason I'm not bragging, but the reason I mention is because she's been on these distance flights, and
Mhm.
it's great once you get over there and it's nice. But it's a lot of effort once they're over 18 months,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of strain. So, and I think Lauren and I are now looking, okay, now that we're in this phase of life and we're gonna have young kids for a little
Mhm.
while, like where are the places where you can get there 3 to 5
Yeah.
hours in a bang and like really like have a great time, but not have the like it's hard when you start a trip with 15 hours and a
Yeah.
jet lagged kid.
Yeah.
It just is.
But one of my friends went to Australia and she put her baby in a fucking car seat.
You
And
can't
just
go anywhere.
The,
like,
the
locked
baby
it.
couldn't go anywhere and sat there for 15 hours.
Well, my mom used to always give me Dramamine. I was like, Mom, I'm not sick. She's like, take this. I'm like, I bet that's illegal these days, but
Can I interview your mom? That's
she's
amazing.
awesome.
I don't know what this says
Suzanne.
about me, but I learned that after I was born, like a few weeks later, that my parents went to Europe for 3 weeks. So I don't know what that's about.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
Where is your favorite place to travel if you had to give us your top 3 places? And like, what does that look like?
Well, my top overall destination, I love traveling within Africa. Like South Africa is, have you, either of you been?
No, I really want to
Let
go.
me just tell you, I get chills even thinking about South Africa because Cape Town is like the stunning city, Table Mountain on the coast. There's penguins in the water. It's kind of got this, European vibe to it. Cool. And then the wine country is 45 minutes outside the city, and it's these rolling valleys, insane wineries, like just a vibe. And then also safaris. Just, have you been on a safari? Safari is, I mean, I love animals, but just being in the middle, like you look at like the animal kingdom as what it's supposed to be. Like you really feel like these, you're in a Jeep, 2 feet, a lion walks by you and you're just watching nature as it happens. It's like so exhilarating, but also like you go to a good, like Singita Lebombo, I highly recommend. It's in South Africa. Chic, like gorgeous, villas. You're on a watering hole, so you're showering and you see animals coming up to the watering hole from your room. And then at night you have sundowners, which is when the sun's going down on the savannah. They set up a beautiful like cocktails, and it's just so South Africa is like,
What's the hotel to stay at there?
well, the Silo Hotel in Cape Town is the super chic design hotel. It's in an old factory, but it's got huge windows, really nicely designed. And Singita Lebombo in Kruger, Sabi Sands is like amazing. So I always recommend South Africa. There's culture, there's, food and wine and everything. Also, one of my favorite trips, and for West Coasters, it's Tahiti's 8 hours from LA. And so Bora Bora is stunning. You know, you can use points at St. Regis and the Conrad are both really good hotels. But what I recommend is the island of Moorea. It's a smaller, it's a small little island. Unlike Bora Bora, where all the hotels are pretty much you have to get a boat and they're all separate. Moorea, and if you love whales, from July through October, it's whale season, but it's one of the only places in the world where they'll let you actually get in the water with the humpbacks. You can snorkel with humpback whales in Tahiti, and all I can tell you is, you have your fins, but I had this experience with like a mother humpback whale like 15 feet away from me, and we
I'm
just
gonna pull that clip.
I have pictures of it. It's insane. But
I had this
Tahiti's really
experience
cool.
with a mother humpback whale.
Yeah.
I'm pulling that out of context and
was-
just putting it out.
I mean, when you're snorkeling in the Pacific and you see a humpback below you, it's like a submarine. It's a little bit, it's not for the faint of heart, I'll say. But Tahiti's just, I mean, you don't have to swim with the humpbacks, but
Could they eat you?
no,
What?
but I have a video where I was GoProing for a friend who loves whales. She was in the hospital. I'm like, hey, and then literally at the very end of the video, one breaches probably like 150 feet in front of me, but just goes into the air, boom. And I'm like, if that was me underneath it, like I'd be,
All I can imagine is Pinocchio.
yeah.
Like when the whale ate
There
it.
was a story last summer that a fisherman, like a lobster fisherman, was in the water and a humpback like swallowed him and spit him out. But I think I think it got disputed.
Okay, well, I need to know if humpbacks can eat
But
you.
anyways,
Well, the humpbacks not what you're worried about. These sharks follow the humpbacks that are the guides that you're with have rods, and if these sharks come up to you, they're like dogs. They're curious, and as long as you smash them in the face with the rod, they'll go away. But if you don't see them and they come up, they'll like actually start eating you. So you just have to always. Maybe I'm not selling this whale experience in Tahiti, am I?
yeah, Lauren. I mean, I wouldn't want you to guard me with a rod. Like, you can't even help me with the bags on the airplane.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd be really attentive under.
She's like, I got my
I'd be
headphones
blasé.
on.
My noise canceling headphones on with my glass of champagne. So I want to tell the audience what it's like to sell a company.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big deal that you did that. What
Yeah.
did that process look like, and what's your after selling the company life?
Well, I'm in a really unique. So I sold it in June 2010. I start blogging. March of 2011 is when I start monetizing, and it was like incredible, like life changing. And it was May of 2012 that a friend of said, "Hey, you should meet this guy." The company was called Bankrate, and Bankrate.com is like the top site for mortgages, and they own creditcards.com. And they, unbeknownst to me, they were like, well, the Points Guys is niche luxury vertical that we're going to acquire. So I actually didn't even use an investment bank. It was me negotiating with the CEO for 6 weeks. And it was like the most stressful, insane 6 weeks of due diligence. And when you're selling a company, you go through highs and lows. And I'm thankful for the experience. I wouldn't, at age 28 or 29, it was kind of like, I went from making like $70,000 a year in HR to now being a media CEO, and I had no investors. So it was like, it was amazing. It was a life-changing deal for me. And so many people now will say, well, don't you regret selling? Because the company now has got 120 employees and it's very successful. But so many of my entrepreneur friends told me, like, take the money off the table, like, especially for your first thing that, I had no idea. I mean, it was just this rocketing rise. I thought for sure it was going to come to an end. So I know I would always just say I leaned a lot on entrepreneurs who had done it before and try to get as much advice as possible. But choose the right partner, because I sold to Bankrate 10 years ago. We're acquired by Red Ventures in 2017, and I just signed a 5-year deal to stay on. And also, I would say is you don't need to be the CEO in charge of everything. Like, yes, the Points Guy is my baby and my brand, but it's grown so much now that I think my biggest 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, I realized like I hate managing people. Like, I love people. I'm not the greatest manager in the world. And
Do you think you would have scaled it to what it is now if you didn't?
I had no, I was a Spanish major. My first job was a buyer for Lord & Taylor. I ended up working in HR at a bank. Like, so I was never like the hard, like I'm an entrepreneur, the mechanics, like I'm a creative. I love storytelling. I'm a salesperson. Like, there's a lot of things that I love, but like the mechanics of the business. And, I think if I did have all of that, I probably would have taken investors and taken a different route, but I have no regrets on what it is. But if you're going to sell your business, I mean, I've just been lucky to have really good partners. Like, after I sold the Points Guy, they were basically like, just do whatever you want for years. But Red Ventures has taken us to another level because they had tons of engineering expertise that's really allowed it to grow. So
Yeah, it is like one of the, if not the premier travel blog site platform in the world. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. We actually just the ComScore just came out, and now we're above. I think CNN Travel might be above us, or USA. It depends on how you rank it, but
Still.
and when you think about like a singular site, we're by far the most profitable by many margins. So there's a lot of ways to measure success in the business, but it is I pinch myself, when we surpassed, Condé Nast Traveler in traffic several years ago. And it's like these magazines that I read growing up, and it's like, wow, this little blog that I created now is like this little powerhouse.
Well, I think it's such an interesting story for people to hear, because you took this niche and this passion that seemed maybe small to you at the time, like, oh, I like booking travel and I like credit cards and figuring out points, and you've turned into this massive platform. And I think that's what the internet has done for some people. It's democratized things things that could only be small things before can now be huge things.
Yep.
Right, like you did. If you started doing this in 1990, or 90s a little late, but like 1970, like there's no way.
You had to scale it. I remember my dad said, Brian, you need to learn how to make money in your sleep. And that's when I was doing, because I would come home from work, I'd be doing these bookings, and then I call it my phone sex operator phase. I was charging people $100 an hour to speak to me on the phone, and I would give them travel tips. But that was like so hard to scale, and in a direct to consumer business, being able to create content that today, right now, our content's monetizing all across, so it's been a really interesting journey to create a digital content, but by leveraging affiliate. And in 2011, affiliate was kind of looked down on as like scammy, right? But now you see almost every major news network. The Today Show has its shopping platform, and there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're giving value to the consumer.
Brian Kelly, the Points Guy, you're unbelievable. Where can everyone find you? What are you working on? What should they sign up for? Give us the details.
Well, thepointsguy.com and the Points Guy on all social channels, but I'm personally Brian Kelly on Instagram. That's my personal travels. That's where I update with hard-hitting news like Starbucks mobile ordering, which is now available in airports, which I just used today. Oh, yeah, it's major.
Wait, you can order your Starbucks in an airport and have it waiting for you?
Oh, yeah, baby. And I highly recommend, the wait times are long. Do it when you're going through security or even before. Because throughout the pandemic with staffing shortages, the Starbucks, I've been in line. I'm like, I might miss my flight. I need this cold brew.
Michael wants to slit his wrist every time I get in line at Starbucks.
The original founder, CEO, stepping back in to right the ship again.
Oh, really?
I think he's like, hey, we need to get Starbucks back on the map.
Well, I think the mobile ordering should help get them there. No, I'm excited. I'm working on a TV show now. I'm rep by WME. We've talking to a lot of really interesting people. So I'm excited to kind of bring the points and travel world and to do a travel show that like actually teaches you how to travel instead of just showing up in an exotic location and showing cool stuff. Like I want to get more people into points because it is such a no-brainer.
You're amazing. Thank you for coming on. Come back anytime. Next time you come on, you got to bring Claude from the Morning Toast.
That would be, she's my best friend. And I mean, it would be a diabolical episode. I think we got to do it.
We love a diabolical episode.
We love having her on too.
Yeah, when we come to New York, let's do a foursome.
Let's do it. And also I invited you guys. I have a new horse farm in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And I have a mini horse named Ginger Spice, who's like the sassiest bitch in the world. She's like becoming a star on the internet. And I think you guys would hit it off with her.
I would love to ride her. It'll be just like riding on an airplane.
Zaza definitely can.
Oh, I can't ride her?
It's a mini horse, Lauren.
Oh, it's a mini horse. Okay.
You're better with the humpback whale, maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Brian.